So it's already coming up to 90 days since I purchased my Sony ZV-1 and started my filmic journey, which is crazy, nearly 90 days. And last night I just happened to be looking through some old footage here again, and I know some of you guys may have seen my original video breakdown. That was a little embarrassing, but I did find some other stuff that I remember when I filmed it, I was like, this genuinely looks really good. You know, this is so amazing. But when I did get it back onto my computer, I was like, yeah, maybe it's not as good as what I thought. And just looking back at that footage, I think maybe I was a little bit more creative back then. And it just got me thinking, if somebody had have asked me a couple of months ago what I would still be struggling with this far into my journey, I thought for sure I would have said I need a gimbal, I need some new lenses, I need better equipment, I need better locations to go to. I definitely wouldn't have thought I'd be saying coming up with things to film or being creative. Because really the reason I got the camera was because I had so many ideas. I really wanted to get these things from out of my mind, and into these like cinematic captures that told stories and all this kind of crap. And I'm pretty creative, so I definitely wasn't considering any of this at all. And like you probably have, I've spent endless time watching YouTube videos, figuring out how to do things and getting ideas and inspirations of what I could potentially go out and do. I'd started practicing on my basic iPhone, just shooting in cinematic mode so I could try and like learn how to move and how to capture things. And I just really honestly believed that once I had the camera in hand and I had my lenses and had everything I thought I needed, I was going to be able to go out, get all this stuff from out of my head, put it in through the camera, put it on YouTube and be super impressed with it. But instead, I would just find myself standing at a location thinking, what the hell am I doing here? What am I going to shoot? How am I going to do this? How am I going to expose these different lighting situations? Am I going to screw this up again? And is what I'm doing here actually going to make any freaking sense? And so looking back, I can see how everything has become more about what it should look like and how I should be filming things and how I need to be doing X, Y, and Z. I can get so stressed out about needing to make these things perfect that I'd lost that creative edge, that creative spark that kind of made my stuff me. But for just over the past month, I've been going out and making sure I film something every day, whether it's here at home or I go out somewhere random, windy, raining, bright sunlight, middle of the day. It doesn't matter. I just go out and I find something to shoot. And since I've been doing that, I have gained a bit more of my confidence back with my creativity because I'm not so much just standing there thinking of the X, Y, and Z and how things need to look. I'm more just starting to notice the little moments that I was skipping over again. And I just wasn't really taking notice of a lot of things around me because of the perfection of what needed to come out from the camera. And I guess when you plan on putting things up on YouTube, which I've mentioned before, you want it to look good. You know, you want to represent what you're doing. You want to represent yourself and what you see. You know, it's a direct part of you, what you're uploading here onto YouTube. So it can be quite daunting. Sometimes it gets the better of you, to be honest. It just can completely skew what you're there to do, which is create and have fun and learn something that's going to give me benefit for the rest of my life. And most of the time here on YouTube, people are talking about how much better gear we need and how we can improve this with this product. But no one really talks about being the guy standing there when you finally get out and you're standing there with your camera and you've got nothing to do. You have no idea what you're doing there. So gear can end up becoming a problem. Actually, something that is quite interesting about the gear is that I don't think I've watched one single gear review video since I've had my camera. I may have watched one, but it hasn't become about the gear at all. It's like I've just not cared. Because before I actually bought this camera here that's filming me right now, I was endlessly scouring through YouTube comparisons and opinions and long-term reviews and all these things. Anyone that was around me was just hearing about lenses, hearing about gear, hearing about new cameras, hearing about storage, hearing about blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it is interesting that I haven't even considered extra gear because filming has become more about what I've got to improve and where I'm falling short. I haven't actually really thought about my gear falling short because every time I come back from a shoot and I upload onto the computer, there's another problem usually that I have to work around for next time or think about in the grading or pre-plan for next time. So I haven't really been sitting here thinking, how is my gear going to make me better? I just want to get better. That's my main goal. But sometimes things like our circumstances can really hinder us in getting the best out of ourselves. Like filming in public for me is still sometimes a little bit of an issue. Quite often you'll be setting something up and you'll have someone come over and be like, oh, you're a professional. What are we filming today? You know, I even had someone the other day yell across this big car park to me going, good shot, man. And sometimes it's those things that takes you out of where you are and what you're doing, you know, and sometimes you just got to be in these weird positions with your camera and you're just that guy like going like this, trying to figure out, you know, the next new thing, the next shot that you want to get. And yeah, you can look like a bit of a muppet sometimes and you're the dude that's standing there talking to a camera or pretending like you're doing something in front of the camera and it's quite obvious that that's what you're doing. I've found that that is enough to take me out of my creativity sometimes. It's definitely fear-based. And it's not often that we get a chance to really talk about these things because it never comes up in our final video. People don't ever get to see all those awkward moments and what it's really like to put yourself out there. One, in public to film, and then two, you know that this is going up on a worldwide platform where you're showcasing yourself. And so again, the fear of just those two things had really incapacitated my creativity and my confidence in myself to just be able to go and get something that was worth my time and effort being there. And actually, speaking of time, I really have underestimated how long it can take to set up shots at times. Sometimes I feel like I get lucky and I just point the camera somewhere and it ends up looking good. But other times I'm like moving a centimeter here, moving back half a meter there, coming forward to this way, back over here, up and down and up and down and then back to the first position. And even just setting up this little studio thing here, it's packed down every time I use it. So I have to put it back up and that can take time. And because of those times where I really feel like I'm racing against the clock, it becomes hard to let yourself flow and have that creativity and know what to say, know how to be. The shot might only be for a minute or maybe you're just getting some B-roll, but it took you half an hour to get that. It's something I really underestimated and I didn't expect something like that to be diminishing my creativity at all. But as I mentioned earlier, going out daily has really helped me get more efficient and get better because I can see some of these things ahead of time, especially when it comes to the grading side of things. Because what I've noticed is that in the past, when I first started, I would shoot and just think, oh, I can just edit this in post like this and I can try and get this. But I was very wrong. In fact, I was at the point where it'd be probably like 4-to-1 ratio of me grading to filming. It was ridiculous. And I remember one day I was in here setting up lights filming and I just started thinking, how is this going to end up looking in post? And how can I shoot this so I don't have to stuff around for so long in post? And by just starting to simply grasp like color contrast and having more of an understanding of my camera settings and how it performs and how it behaves, I've been able to slowly get footage that takes a lot less time to grade because I've already pre-thought of these things ahead of time in order to enhance my footage as opposed to just filming something because it looks good. And I've definitely learned that the hard way. So creating less future challenges for myself enables me to be able to think more creatively and get out and film more. But in saying that, yes, I have overcome quite a few challenges, but it's not like they've disappeared anywhere. They've just changed. It's one of those situations. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize you don't understand. It's kind of the same with every subject, right? But you really think that as the months go on and the years go on, that these things get easier to do, that there's never going to be problems. But I find out time and time again, every time I go out to film something, every time I go to photograph something, there's a new challenge, there's a new problem to solve, there's people in your way, there's something happening that you will have to work around and have to use some type of creativity to be able to get the image that you've either wanted or completely reform it and get something that, initially you might think it's not going to be as good, but turns out to be better. So another big misconception I had was if I can just learn all this stuff, I can apply it and then that'll be it. But that's not the case at all. I'm actually starting to realize now that filmmaking is probably more about problem solving than it actually is about filming, which is weird, but I love it. Anyway, that's where I'm at after a couple of months. And I think I've been rambling on long enough. And if you guys haven't seen my video breakdown from my very first time out filming, I'll put that up here now for you. If you watch it, cool. If not, I'll catch you on the next one.